Hello there, my name is Aidan Oswell and I work as a lecturer in the School of Architecture, Planning and Landscape at Newcastle University. Just to say a little bit about me before we press on with this virtual open day presentation. My background predominantly is in practice. I started off as a housing management trainee at Newcastle City Council, and then I went on to become the head of research at the Regional Housing Board, and then became the first ever director of the Tyne and Wear Strategic Housing Partnership. Although I have been working as a visiting lecturer in higher education for nearly 26 years now. I started in 1994. I became a permanent member of staff here about 2 years ago, although I've been working as a visiting lecturer in the school since 2003, because for a long time I didn't want to give up the practice element of what I did. Now, the reason I'm telling you that is because one of the great strengths of our school, and indeed our university, is that we have a great combination of world-class academics who are at the cutting edge of the profession, but also people like me and several other colleagues who have long and very significant experience in practice. And that brings a unique range of opportunity and experience to students, because not only can you work with some of the field leaders in academic elements of planning, you can also work with people who have long experience in practice, who can help support you as you head out into the world of work. And all of our students have told us that that is a very, very valuable thing. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our planning programs. But the first question that we always get asked when we start to engage with people who are not planners in discussions of planning is, well, what is this planning stuff? What's it all about? Well, planning really is the process whereby the thoughts and the imaginings and the desires and the beliefs even of people who develop out there in the wider world go from being ideas on a piece of paper or in a plan all the way through to being built out in the communities that all of us inhabit. So it's the process by which the ideas of developers and planners and architects are turned into the real outputs that we see around us in all our communities. And that might be at the very top level of strategic planning, where master plans are set out often for very large areas. So, for example, after the Great Fire of Detroit in the 1800s, Detroit was radically replanned as a gridiron layout, as lots of American cities are. And of course, it was planners that had to set that plan out. But also, below the strategic level of the overall plan, it was essential to get the individual, what we call development control decisions right. So a key part of planning in operation is the process of development control. It's the process of making sure that the materials and the layout and the standards of building meet the various building regs that have been set down in law. And development control is the process really by which that's policed. And then everything in between, from urban design and ensuring that transport is planned appropriately, or very important issue at the moment, hospital facilities, all falls within the remit of the planners. And many people would specialise in things like transport planning or education planning. And there are lots of opportunities and organisations involved in that work for planners. Okay, so that's what planning is, broadly speaking. The next question really is, well, why study it at Newcastle? Well, the first thing to talk about is professional accreditation. Within our programmes at Newcastle, which I'm going to talk about in a moment or two, we offer dual accreditation for both the RTPI, the Royal Town Planning Institute, which is essential for planners, but also the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. Because what we sometimes find is that our students go down a route of enrolling in a planning programme and then start to realise that the very practical aspects of the work become more and more appealing to them. And so about 2 years ago, we introduced the possibility of accreditation with RICS, the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. And that's because if people had a real practical bent and were very interested in engaging in practical work, that accreditation would significantly increase their bankability, if you like, in the labour market. So we offer dual accreditation, and it's a hugely valuable thing because it creates many, many more career opportunities, and it also gives you a much wider range of choice when you become qualified. Obviously, the accreditation with the RTPI, Royal Town Planning Institute, is essential if you want to become a town planner. And part of that process is facilitated by work placements that you can do as part of the Masters of Planning programme, and also various other little opportunities that do crop up throughout the progress or throughout your time on the programmes. There are also in the past been opportunities to study abroad. Now, because of coronavirus, COVID-19, it's a little bit unclear how those opportunities are going to pan out, certainly over the next 12 months. Although the university is heavily committed to trying to get back to creating study abroad opportunities for students, and we will be at the cutting edge of that if we can be. But the general sort of view within our school is that we are strongly committed to studying abroad, because we really believe that diversity of culture and experience and background all help in the process of making the best possible planning decisions. And helping you learn from the experience of other cultures and other countries is a hugely valuable thing. Okay. Other things that centre around the question to study at Newcastle include things like the facilities available to you. Now, we've very recently gone through a wholesale refurbishment of our planning building at the university, known as the Henry Daish building. Okay, so in that building now we have a dedicated planning studio. We have a social space with computer facilities, which is very popular with students. We have something called the coffee bar in the architecture building, which is a very interesting space, as you can imagine, in a very old building. And we also spend a huge amount of time focusing on the quality of our teaching. Okay. We have world-leading academics, as I've already mentioned, within our school. And we also spend a lot of time ensuring that students are properly supported through our own support officer, who has access to a variety of specialist services. We also have a buddy system in stage 1 to support students. And we always attempt to make sure that students are fully supported and feel fully valued and are helped through various problems or issues or difficulties that they have in their studies through a variety of different mechanisms. One of which is the personal tutees process, which is something I began with for the first time last year. I had a group of 9 students who I will be a personal tutor to during the whole of their time at the university, and that has been a very enlightening experience for me, and according to what they tell me, a very positive experience for them, because we place a huge amount of weight on trying to make sure that students are well taken care of and well supported during their time within the school. Some of that comes from mutual support in the sort of facilities that I've just described, but some of it also comes from the staff interactions that students have. So what sort of things do our students say about their time at Newcastle? Well, there's a couple of comments here. The first one, the planning staff, seem to really enjoy what they do. That's certainly true. And so they want to convey that to us and get us to understand, and that's good. That's important. That goes back to the point I was making about practical experience and academic expertise. It's very important to us that students get the best possible support in those 2 areas that they can. And it was wonderful when we heard this comment coming back from a student, because it showed that all of the effort that we were putting in on that score really was working. Another comment is, excellent manner of teaching, both engaging and interesting, brought theory into real-world situations to allow actual application of the theories to cement understanding. Now, that's something I'm particularly passionate about, because I've always taught, or almost always taught, economics across the 26 years, taught economics to non-economists, and most people find it really difficult to engage with the language, let alone the ideas. So I place a huge amount of effort and time and commitment on making sure that some of those specialist ideas, some of those technical ideas, are properly communicated to ensure that the economics that those students do study can carry through into real-world application. But we do that across the whole of the school and all of the programmes, because planning ultimately is a practical endeavour. It's about doing practical things to the best of your ability, learning from things that went maybe not so well, but also trying to crystallise good quality decisions that come out so that the planning process can learn and continue to improve. Okay. And then finally, one of the students made a comment about the fact that some of the class sizes are relatively small, as this promotes student-staff interaction. One of the things we've noticed since we moved back into the Daish building following the refurbishment is that we have a greater degree of student interaction, because we're a lot more accessible to students, and we also tend to come into informal contact with them more than we did previously in the unrefurbished building. Okay. That brings us on to the programmes themselves. So what programmes are available? Well, firstly, we have BA Urban Planning, Bachelor of Arts in Urban Planning. Now, the Urban Planning degree is heavily focused on project work. There is a broad range of different types of modules, from technical skills and IT through to social sciences and design. So I was involved in some very interesting urban design modules on the BA programme just in this year gone, supporting members of staff who are relatively new to those modules. And that was very interesting to see students engaging in things like urban design or developing a sense of place or master planning. And all of those practical modules tend to be done in groups. The modules that I teach tend to have large lectures with a great deal of what we might call chalk and talk. So there's a broad range of different styles of teaching and content and a broad range of different ways of being assessed. Throughout the programme, the BA Urban Planning programme, however, we do embed employability skills. Now bear in mind, I've been working out there in a variety of different environments for a very long period of time. And myself and some of my other colleagues who are working in live projects at the moment, or have been very recently, have a very keen sense of what is required in terms of employability skills. And so we work together with other colleagues to ensure that the programme itself is very rich in those skills. So that when you go out into the world of work, be that at the end of the urban planning programme, or if you move on to the Master of Planning, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, you're very well prepared for the world of work. And that's essential because employers now do not really have the scope or the latitude to start giving you a great deal of time to develop the skills that you need once you land in the world of work. They're expecting you to add value in some way, shape or form from day one, really. We also have a Geography and Planning Bachelor of Arts programme. Now the Geography and Planning programme is interesting because it gives you a very high quality social sciences degree, but it also enables you to build up a number of transferable skills. Again, in the world of work, those transferable skills are very, very significant, very important. You need to be able to do a range of different things in this day and age in your job. Specialism is less and less of a sort of significant issue as time goes on. Working in teams with lots and lots of transferable skills is becoming a much more powerful offer to an employer. Okay? What the Geography and Planning programme does is it fuses the best of all the programmes into a very rich menu. And if you're coming from a geography background, you'll be able to focus on some of the things that maybe have interested you about the discipline in the past. It's also flexible and very varied, and it means that you can do a wide range of different types of work and study different types of modules as you go through. Then finally, we'll have the Master of Planning programme, which is effectively the same as the BA Urban Planning programme for the first 3 years. And you can transfer to it from urban planning as you move through the programme if you choose to. The thing that makes the Master of Planning programme a little bit different is that you will do your Certificate of Professional Practice in year 4, and that sets you on your way to the professional accreditation that I described earlier. But also what happens is you come back to the university in year 5 to finish off your studies, to do a dissertation, and therefore to be awarded the higher qualification of Master of Planning. Okay. Now for people who are very keen to get into the planning profession as planners and to become professional planners, that Masters of Planning programme is a very valuable route into that, because it gives you an opportunity to go and earn for a year whilst you learn the practical skills that you need in employment in year 4. It also helps you get towards the accreditation, and it sets you up with your Masters for a career in planning. And what I always say to my students is, when they first come in to see me in the first semester of year 5, is that they are here to learn how to lead, not to follow, because my expectation is that they will move into the middle ranks of the profession fairly rapidly, but they should be looking to progress from that level very quickly as well. We're here to help develop field leaders in planning, and the Masters of Planning is probably the best route into that. So that's the programmes. What about your future if you study on these programmes? Well, if you want to become a chartered town planner, you're going to need to fulfil the requirements of the Royal Town Planning Institute accreditation process. And then you'll also need 2 years experience in planning practice. You can't become a fully fledged planner until you've got a combination of the on-paper accreditation, if you like, and also the experience. Because planning is a very practical discipline, and it's something that you have to learn through a degree of experience. So that's just as it should be. As I've already said, the 4-year M-Plan degree offers an RTPI accredited route to Chartered Town Planning status, and the 3-year BA Honours degree provides the foundation for this, but then you've got to go and do your extra year out and come back and do the final year of your M-Plan. Okay. So what sort of places could our degree programmes lead to? Well, if you think about the urban planning degree, BA Urban Planning, we used to have David on the course, who is now with PricewaterhouseCoopers. He's in the City of London financial sector. We had Marcus, who did the urban planning degree and then went on to do a law conversion course and is now a solicitor because he had that solid foundation in social sciences. We had Charlie, who studied real estate and management MSc after the BA and became the accommodation specialist on the Rio Olympics. Talk about field leaders, that's a leadership role right there. We also had Jane, who went on to become a chartered surveyor, and Temasime, who went on to become an economist from the urban planning degree. Because that grounding in social sciences can tee you up very nicely if you choose appropriate modules as part of your choices, part of your various elective decisions, to get into something quite specialised like economics through a master's level programme. What about the geography and planning degree? Well, Jenny studied the geography and planning degree and then went on to become a teacher using the Teach First programme and is now a primary school teacher. Emma went on to do the MSc in town planning, which is another route into the planning profession. We also offer an MSc in town planning, which you can access if you go down the route of a geography and planning degree, for example, or if you come in with another degree such as economics, which is what my first degree is in. Chris also went through the geography and planning programme and joined the police graduate scheme and is now in the police force. And Sinead became a marketing manager for an outdoor advertising company after having gone through geography and planning. Then finally, that brings us on to the M-Plan, Masters of Planning. Well, in 2003, Chris graduated from M-Plan. He's now the head of branch in international planning policy at MHCLG, as it is now, DCLG as it was when he got the job. MHCLG is the government department which deals with planning. Okay, again, another field leader. Gareth, who graduated in 2009, is now a principal planner with Transport for London. One of the things that we find is that we have a really good relationship with Transport for London, and therefore we send a lot of students there on their year out. Andrew became a specialist transport planner with the North East Combined Authority after graduating in 2011, and Richard, who graduated in 2012, is the senior Northern Divisional Planner at Persimmon Homes, which I'm sure you've all heard of. Okay. So that's the presentation that I wanted to give you today. If you have any questions, email me. That's my email address. Careful, because my name is easily misspelled. But certainly do drop me an email if you want to ask any questions or if you have any issues or queries. If you want to join the live chat, then you can get that information direct from the university as to when it's going to be held, and the various people who will be helping you with the open day will indicate how to do that. Okay, hope you've enjoyed the presentation. I hope you will seriously consider studying at Newcastle because it's a fantastic city. We have a great university and we're all very, very proud of the offer that we give through the School of Architecture, Planning and Landscape. Excellent. Thank you very much.